Welcome to the Four Borders podcast.
Davide, how you doing there? It's Thursday, December 7th, 9:08 p.m. and the Patriots are playing the Steelers. It's 14-3 in the second quarter, about 11 minutes to go in the second quarter, and not much of a game. I actually made a comment earlier tonight that there was no football, and you corrected me.
It is going to be a game, and the Patriots are making it one. And hey, everybody, how's it going? Thanks for joining us. And Alex, I'm good. Thanks for asking like a minute ago. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yep, doing pretty well. Like I said, I wish there were a game to watch, though.
In the academic sense, there is a game. I think it's going to be better than you'd think.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, if the Steelers can't score any points, then it's not going to be. The fact that the Patriots have already scored 2 touchdowns is pretty remarkable. I actually haven't caught too much of the game. I did watch the play-in tournament, the basketball play-in tournament. The Milwaukee Bucks got beat by the Indiana Pacers, and that was a bit of a surprise if you're a basketball fan. It was a bit of a surprise. But hey, we're not talking about basketball right now. We're talking about football right now. And welcome. If you haven't been here before, then please do like and subscribe. If you like it, of course. We are going to talk about some football tonight. A lot of times we'll talk about fantasy football. And come to spring, we'll talk about golf and that kind of stuff. But tonight, Dave, what are we talking about? Why are we here?
Tonight, we're going to talk about the top 4 worst franchise performances of 2023.
Yeah, the teams that suck right now or aren't as good as we thought. Basically, the teams that have not lived up to what the expectation was at the onset of the season. So let's not waste any more time, Dave. They don't want to listen to us blather on. So I think you're going to start with number 4, right? You want to kick this baby off?
Sure thing. And I want to preface this whole thing with this is not just the top 4 worst records, it's the top 4 worst performances. So we're factoring in expectations as well. Okay.
I just said that, Dave. I literally just said that exact same thing.
In case anyone muted Alex, then I just have to repeat what you said in case people tune you out. So that's all that is.
Dave, they it's not like their system just mutes me unless somebody is tone deaf to my exact tone of my voice. That's not how it works. Dave, have you
So
been drinking?
it doesn't work that way. So everybody, today we're talking about the 4 worst franchise performances, and we're factoring in records and expectations.
Yeah, let me clarify just for anybody who doesn't fully understand. I'm messing around, Dave. Come on, take us to number 4 already, will you? We're so impatient. We just want to know what you got there.
Let's do it. At number 4, we're talking about the team that's in 3rd place right now in their division at 4-8 in the NFC East. We're talking about the New York Football Giants. So you may wonder, hey, why didn't you choose somebody like the Commanders? Well, we know the Commanders stink, and they're always going to stink. But some of us suckers thought maybe the Giants could like turn it around a little bit this year. And that's why I have them at number 4. So the Giants have beaten up on some teams that aren't any good. They got a win out of the Patriots. They beat the Commanders twice. They beat the Cardinals. So their 4 wins really don't mean much, in my opinion. They lost Daniel Jones for the whole year.
Who?
And yeah, right. Daniel Jones, who he is hoping to come back for training camp. I don't know if they're going to.
Dave, I'm sorry. I don't know who Daniel Jones is. Can you fill me in, please?
He's actually he's the guy that throws the ball for their team.
Their cornerback.
Quarterback Daniel Jones. Yep. So he's gone. Arguably, probably not much of a difference there. Last year, he did have a really great year, and he tricked the Giants into giving him lots of money, and he turned into a pumpkin. So now they've got Tommy DeVito, and they're going to be just as okay with Tommy DeVito as Daniel Jones. Saquon Barkley just is having a disastrous year. I feel really bad for him because he held out, decided to sign a contract that it's not working out right now. Blew up in his face. It was a heavily incentivized or incentive-based contract, and he's not going to hit any of those incentives. So I don't know if they're going to franchise tag him next year or if he's going to re-sign. I hope they release him so he can go to a contender, but he has said, like a sucker, that he wants to retire a Giant. I have no idea why he would want to do that. But anyway, number 4 right now. For top worst franchises, that's going to have to go to the Giants.
Dave, why do you think Daniel Jones, obviously he's injured right now, but he wasn't playing that well at the beginning of the season. So why he wasn't playing as well as he had been last season? Let's put it that way. So why do you think he's taking a step back? You think he was after that bag and then he got that bag and now he's just kind of come back to who he is?
I think he is who we thought he was. I think he had one good year, and a lot of that was his legs getting it done. I just think he's overrated, and I'm surprised that a professional franchise wouldn't see that, like, hey, let's make sure we get at least 2 solid years in a row of production from this quarterback before we pay him a ton of money. It's just a huge insult to all the other players out there, especially like a Saquon. You know, he's obviously super talented player, and they're nickel and diming him, and then they're just giving Daniel Jones a ton of money off of one pretty decent performance. So Daniel Jones is fool's gold. As far as the exact reasons why, I'm not sure. Do you have any speculation on that?
I'm not quite sure, and maybe it is he was in a contract year. You always step up your performance. You always get, want to show the bosses and the Bobs that you're doing better, and then you get the bag, and maybe you just kind of sit back and relax at that point. So maybe that's one reason. What about Brian Daboll? No, he had a great coaching year last year, and they made the playoffs. They even won a playoff game. What do you think is going on? Do you think it's a confluence of issues in New York that's kind of submarining this season, or do you think he's also a one hit wonder?
I think he is still a good coach. I don't necessarily think he's a one-hit wonder. I think that, Daniel Jones, before he got lost to the season due to injury, he still wasn't playing well. He had, I think, like one acceptable game, and every other performance was pretty poor. I don't know if it was just a perfect storm of who they played against. All right, so let's go through it here. Week 1, they lost to the Cowboys, right? 40 to zip. Cowboys are pretenders in this, but obviously they're better than Giants. They stomped them 40 to zip. Week 2, they beat the Cardinals. We didn't really know how bad the Cardinals were at that point. We knew that they weren't going to be, in contention for many wins. So yeah, they narrowly beat the Cardinals in week 2. And then the Giants got stomped by the 49ers. I guess you can't really blame them. It's the 49ers. They're Super Bowl contenders right now. But then they got blown out by the Seahawks 24 to 3. They got smoked by the Dolphins. They could have held on against the Bills. So the records, yeah, I mean, if you look at some of these games, they did better than you would have thought against the Bills, for example, only losing by 5 points. But still, at the end of the day, it's the wins that matter, and the Giants just aren't getting it done.
Well, it's the Bills after all, and their season hasn't been that great anyway. So, Dave, let's talk about something else. Or you got anything else before we move on?
Just looking at their schedule here, they lost to the Jets. They got blown out by the Raiders. If you start looking at the quality of their wins aren't good, and the quality of their losses are pretty bad. So I think if you're a Giants fan, you expected far more than this. And Saquon obviously expected more than this. He signed a $10 million deal predicated on them winning games, and they're not. They're not going to do that.
Yeah, it's got to feel like they're not coming up to bat for you and helping you out. So, whatever, it is what it is. Boo hoo. They've won more Super Bowls than the Lions have. So, I don't feel badly for them. Let's talk about a team that is a one hit wonder, maybe a two-hit wonder. And I think that's the Kansas City Chiefs at the third spot. Now, come on. They might have won a couple Super Bowls, but boy, do they suck right now, huh? What do you think, Dave? They look pretty awful losing to the Packers. The Packers being probably the worst franchise in all of NFL history, and then you come out and you blow a game. I mean, sure, the refs had to win the game for the Packers, but man, the Chiefs look pathetic.
That's quite the hot take, and I appreciate you going out on a limb here. And if you do talk about expectations, the fact that the Chiefs have lost 4 games right now is pretty crazy. So in that sense, then yeah, I can see this ranking making sense. And there's Hunter Henry with his second touchdown of the game. Spoiler alert. You'd have to
Let's
be a
go.
really shrewd, intelligent, smart, and forward-thinking fantasy manager to pop him in at the last second.
Well, good for you, Dave. Everybody's very proud of you. We're all so happy.
Thank you.
But I mean, if you look at that Chiefs game, they lost it because of that pass interference call that wasn't called against the Packers. And so, maybe some of that allure is wearing off. Now, I always want to see a call being made and the proper call being made. I hate the idea of a gimme, of a makeup call, some like that. That really grinds my gears. But if the team has to rely on a play or two at the end of the game to win it, then they hadn't set themselves up to win anyway. So you can't just blame like a kicker for missing you squarely blame the kicker for missing the field goal at the end, or a pass interference that wasn't called. If you're going to be a championship team, then you really got to go out there and control the game.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the 4 losses that the Chiefs do have.
The
You
Lions weren't the Lions that and that's the whole thing is they obviously suck because they lost to the Lions.
Well, I know that's a little bit tongue in cheek there, Alex, because we all know the Lions are a phenomenal team. But yeah, for the Chiefs to start the season off losing to the Lions by 1, that's nuts. who saw that coming? Not
Well,
many people.
but there's an asterisk, Dave. Obviously because Chris Jones and Travis the sellout Kelsey, he didn't play. That obviously it was the Chiefs losing as opposed to the Lions winning, huh?
That was the narrative that the Chiefs choked that game away, but you got to give credit to the Lions too. So yeah, week 1 they fell to the Lions 20-1, and let's look at some other losses here. They also lost to the Broncos. That was a big stunner in my opinion.
Yeah, what was that? 9? Didn't they put up 9? I think they only got field goals in that game. It was some
Yeah,
weird score, 26-9 or something.
yep, 24-9.
24-9. Yeah.
So that was a huge surprise. And then, they lost a tight one against the Eagles, 21-17. And then of course now they've also lost to the Packers.
Uh-huh.
So, I can't really defend them losing to the Broncos like that. It makes sense they lost to the Eagles, Super Bowl contenders there. I mean, that was a good close game, but to lose to the Packers, I don't know. I would say their season's not in a free fall necessarily, but if you're a Chiefs fan, you're a little worried about dropping those games.
Yeah, you are. Now, I will say the Packers, even though they are the worst franchise in the NFL, we can all agree on that. Their defense has been looking better, and Jordan Love is not the worst quarterback of all time. That distinction obviously belongs to Tim Boyle. I mean, Zach Wilson. But you still don't want to lose those games to the Packers because they're such an asshole team. So if you're the Chiefs, you got to be pretty pissed off. If you're a Chiefs fan, I bet you probably hate the Packers at that point. You probably hate the Lions. You probably hate a lot of teams because your ego is so big and you don't think you should lose to any of them. But who cares? Boo hoo. Give me a freaking break.
Yeah, so let's see here. This week it's going to be the Bills and the Chiefs, and then after that they're going to play the Patriots, and then the Raiders on Christmas Day, and then New Year's Eve they're going to play against the Bengals. I feel like they could get that win, and they're going to finish the season against the Chargers, which I feel like that should be a win for them. So I can see them winning out, honestly, but I wouldn't be surprised if they drop this game to the Bills at least.
Dave, take us to number 2. Well, yeah, I'm tired of talking about this boring old Chiefs franchise.
So this is normally a solid number 2, and this is going to be a team that has enjoyed tremendous success over the years. And if you're a fan of this team, you really can't complain because you've been blessed with just phenomenal performances from your coach and your quarterback, and just there's a high standard of winning with this organization. We're talking about the Patriots right now, which actually they're stomping the Steelers so far. So I think they knew that we were going to talk about them, and they're putting forth their best effort here. It's kind of surprising, to be honest.
Dave, I actually do not agree with you on this one. I think you're dead wrong. You say that they've got a great pedigree. Of course they do. And they've won tons of championships. Of course they have. Now, if you're a Patriots fan, you're probably, getting your panties in a bunch and you're pissed off that you're losing. But if you take a step back and you look at it from the 30,000 aerial view, then you know that you're going to draft a great, what you hope is a good quarterback. And you've got hope. So you insert that new quarterback into the system. And it might take a year or two, but again, you've got that hope. The defense has been playing really, 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 really well. Again, they are tonight. They've only given up 3 points. And so I totally disagree with you, Dave. I don't think the Patriots belong here. As much as I want to hate on them, I disagree.
Listen, man, understand this is they only have 2 wins on the season. No Patriots fans would have ever expected this outcome, okay?
100%, Dave. I think a lot of Patriots fans would have expected this. Bill Simmons, the biggest Patriots fan in the world, he thought they were going to be a great team. And everybody who was on the podcast with them, they're like, what are you talking about? Are you drunk? They're going to be awful this year.
Before the season started, nobody would have guessed the Patriots would only have 2 wins at this point. So I'm standing firm with this. This is number 2 on the most surprising franchise performances of the year, because it's getting to the point where they're talking about Belichick moving on, Belichick getting fired. They've gone between going with Mac Jones to then Zappy, then back to Mac Jones, then back to Zappy, and it's just the season's a disaster.
But it's supposed to be a disaster. Who can?
No,
What do
no,
you mean they haven't tanked?
we talked about it before. They're not the kind of team that would intentionally tank a game or tank a season. I just can't see the Patriots ever doing anything like that. They fully intended to have a competitive season this year, and it's just not working out the way they would have hoped.
Dave, I think you're a complete idiot. And if you weren't a co-owner of this podcast with me, I'd fire you. I'd just fire you right now because it's such a bad take. I honestly do not believe that the Patriots belong on this list at all.
Okay, well, you know what they say, agree to disagree. I'd like to see, if you could comment at the end of the video, Alex, who you think was a better candidate for the number 2 spot? I'd love to see a comment that. And if you're a viewer that, you agree with Alex, go ahead and say so. I'd like to hear it.
I don't know. Put the Raiders in there. Spoiler alert: they're not number one. Put the Durs in there. The Commanders. Some other team.
Let me
I,
just explain why we didn't choose those people. We didn't choose the Raiders because we knew they were going to stink. If you thought the Raiders were going to have a good season, you're a sucker. And the Commanders are going to be irrelevant forever. So that's why they're not going to make the list.
Dave, what made you think that the Patriots were going to have a good season?
They're the Patriots, man. When
That's
did they
not
have a bad
enough.
season?
That's not
That
enough.
is enough. That is enough. Even like by any team standards, this is terrible. By the Patriots standard, this is like the worst possible outcome that they could ever imagine.
I don't agree with you. I think you're looking at it from the past 23 years of football. And why are you looking at that? They had a bad season last year. Mac Jones had a decent season his rookie year 2 years ago, but I'm flabbergasted, Dave. I'm honestly surprised. What they signed Ezekiel Elliott from the Cowboys, who was let go. I mean, I just don't understand, Dave. You've got me totally flummoxed.
All right, cool.
Well, like you
Thanks.
said, we're going to agree to disagree.
Agree to
Maybe
disagree.
Maybe whoever reaches out to TJ first, TJ and his dad, TJ and your dad, if you want to be the co-host, I think one of us are going to hire you on. One of us is going to get replaced. I can see.
Yeah, if anybody wants to check out TJ's podcast, it's Tim Jr. and Tim Sr.'s podcast on YouTube. You should check it out. Search for hashtag TJ and you'll find it, number 1.
Yeah, and you can also look for TJ on, and then you can find it as well. Dave, let's move on to number one. Number one, I think we all know who this is. This is a team that, wow, they sure gave up a lot in that trade to Chicago. Just by that alone, we're talking about the Carolina Panthers here. Now, they were sitting pretty last year. They were, I don't know where they're in the top 5 for a draft, I do believe. And they traded DJ Moore. They traded another couple picks to the Chicago Bears for that number 1 pick. And they get that first pick, and you think they know who they're going to pick, right? They know who they're going to draft. They also had just traded away CJ McCaffrey and the best running back, who you might argue is in the top 4 of running backs of all time. They just traded him away to the San Francisco 49ers, and then they trade away DJ Moore, and then they don't even know who they're going to draft. And then they make the wrong draft pick, and all of this combined into a shit stew. When you look who's up top stirring it, it's his asshole David Tepper. Now, if you've heard anything about this guy seems like a real grade A asshole. He's a venture capitalist bro who's surely made a ton of money doing a bunch of immoral stuff. And then he comes in, he said he wants to run his football team like he did his hedge fund. It's like, come on, buddy. This is a life for a lot of people. This isn't just some business endeavor that you can go around toiling with and fuck around with. How do you feel, Dave?
Well, first off,
there's a lot, Dave. There's a lot in there. I understand.
There's a lot to unwrap. First, the argumentative side of me would say, look, you'd have to be a real dummy to think the Panthers were going to have any more than 1 win there. So I totally disagree with your assessment that they're the number 1 worst franchise, because everyone should have seen this coming from a mile away.
And you're an idiot.
But at the same time, you have to respect a guy in David Tepper who made his money trimming bushes. I mean, I can't imagine he made so many billions of dollars just trimming hedges. I didn't think there was guys that could make that much money with landscaping, but it's pretty impressive if you think about it.
It's got 2 meanings. Hedges being like not the hedges that you're going to trim, but like a hedge fund where you're like overseeing a bunch of money into these different markets. And you're really
okay. Oh, no, I understand. Okay, so he managed other people who would trim bushes.
Yeah.
So he was managing other landscaping companies. That's even better. He didn't have to get his hands dirty. He wasn't the one with the shears. All right. So speaking of getting your hands dirty, he's like one of those owners who's just too involved in the day-to-day operations. He should just hire the right people and let them do their job. And the fact that he's hired and fired coaches in the same season, you don't give a guy a chance. That's a reflection on you. At a certain point, David Tepper becomes the common denominator. And did you see where he was mispronouncing Frank Reich's last name incorrectly on purpose at the press conference after he released him? Like, what a dick move.
What an asshat. Yeah, why would you do that? It's so petty. And that's the thing is you might be successful, all this and all that, But like, I just can't get on board for the pettiness. You just seem immature at that point.
Yeah, well, here's what's going to happen. There, he's going to alienate any potential candidate, any coaching candidate that goes there is going to be the kind of person that's going to say, "Well, I'm not going to be able to speak my mind around this guy because he's going to override me. He thinks he's going to know more than me." So you're going to automatically eliminate any qualified coaching candidate. And the only people that are going to apply are going to be substandard candidates that or the yes men that are just going to let David Tepper get his way because he's the owner, and they're never going to have success. And it's just like the video that you shared with me earlier today, and we'll credit that at the end. We'll maybe post a link to it, right? But they bring up the fact that with a bad GM or a bad coach, usually their time could be up at any moment. But with an owner, unless they do something ridiculous, you're going to be stuck with that owner for a long time. So
Mhm.
I don't see David Tepper ever selling the team. I think he's going to dig in and just continue making bad decisions. And if you're a Panthers fan, you're just going to have to suffer through that for a long time.
Oh, and you made a really good point about coaches not wanting to go there, and that just from you see it from the aerial view again that he's no fun to work with, and he's gonna override your decisions. But then you also have the coaches who are talking, right? So, for instance, Ben Johnson, the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator, a lot of people say he's in line to get a head coaching job. The guy's an awful coach. I mean, he can't even coach his way out of a freaking paper bag. So, how Ben Johnson's going to get a head coaching job somewhere, I don't know, but he's awful. I mean, just look at the statistics, look at the Lions offense. The guy's clearly not ready to coach an NFL team. I mean, come on, that guy sucks, right? Ben Johnson's awful, right? Am I right? Okay, now that we've settled that Ben Johnson sucks and he can't, coach worth a diddly. Well, Deuce Staley was on the Detroit Lions staff last year. Deuce Staley was the running backs coach. He goes to Carolina. I believe he was like the assistant head coach down there as well. And so that Staley is going to be talking with the Lions front office, with their coaches, and to Ben Johnson, who otherwise want to go down there. Deuce Staley's going to say, "It's a mess here. What do you like? No, don't come down here." Staley's gone. He was fired as well. So of course he can say anything he wants at this point.
Yeah, basically, the Panthers are not going to be able to attract a top tier talent unless David Tepper is able to tell them, look, you're going to be calling the shots. I'm going to step aside. But David Tepper's ego is as big as his hedge fund balance. And I don't see that happening. I see him not like looking inside and going, maybe I didn't play this the right way, or maybe I should just let the people I hire do their job. He's not going to come around. So they're going to hire a substandard coach, and he's probably going to get fired within a year or so.
Well, and the funny thing is that how ironic it is that Tepper is the kind of guy who would base anybody off of performance, right? And he'd probably put like AI monitors in his coffee shop to make sure all of his baristas are at highest productivity and all that kind of bullshit. And he's gonna fire anybody who's just not performing. Well, who's gonna fire him? Fuck you, buddy. Like, you're gonna live and die by this mantra of making all this money and doing it by being a savvy business person. Well, if you suck at this business, then fire yourself, you asshole.
They're in a tight spot right now with Bryce Young because even though they're gonna finish last in the league, they don't own their number one pick, right? So they traded up to get Bryce Young, and they haven't been able to clarify, was that unanimous? Who didn't want Bryce Young?
Dave,
Was it Reich?
it was almost
It
unanimous.
was nearly unanimous. So what that means is somebody didn't want Bryce Young, but he's not saying who that is. And my suspicion is that it was Reich. And if he wanted CJ Stroud and they went with Bryce Young instead, I mean, that's going to look bad because they could have maybe just waited and grabbed him for nothing. I don't know.
Right. That's exactly it. And if you're right, you can't, obviously your feelings might be hurt. Nobody likes getting fired, but it was probably one of those things where he got to his car that day. He's got his box, he's cleaned out his office, and he puts on his favorite jam. The sun is shining. He's driving down the street and he's living life because he's out of that organization. I would think that any organization that has the wits to understand how this played out, they would still see Reich as a good coach. And maybe he's not going to be hired as another head coach tomorrow, but he's going to find a great position with a great organization. I imagine he seems like he's a pretty good dude, so I think he's got to be happy to be out of there as well.
Was it Bill Parcells that said, if you want me to make dinner, let me go shopping for the ingredients?
Yes, there you go.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Reg didn't want Young, and that's okay. But you take a young quarterback, you got to give him time to develop. But you take away all of his weapons, and then it's a silly look to trade away arguably the greatest running back of our generation, and DJ Moore, who's having a renaissance type of year in Chicago, which is a huge surprise. He could have made our top four most surprising wide receiver developments because I didn't see this coming. I just thought, hey, this guy's going to have the worst year ever in Chicago. It's Chicago. But they trade away two statistically productive skill position players. And now they're looking to trade with a team for a talented wide receiver. And it's like, oh, you had that guy. So yeah, they're just dysfunctional. I agree with you that they're number one dysfunctional, but I'm not surprised by it. So therefore, you're wrong, Alex. Terrible selection. I would have put anybody else instead of the Panthers there, but whatever.
Dave, I do want to call you wrong as well about the Christian McCaffrey, greatest of our generation. Now, we're no young whippersnappers anymore. I think Barry, I'd have to say, was the greatest of my generation, and subsequently your generation. I don't know. At what point do you say
define generation? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I guess every 30 years. And when do you make that statement? Are you following along the age of those players? So, like, when I was 25 years old, that running back, the best in the league at that point, that was part of my generation, so to speak. I'm not sure. I know exactly what you're saying about Christian McCaffrey, though. An incredible generational talent, 100%. Dave, we got to wrap this baby up. I got some producers in my ear chirping. Anything else that we should talk about before we jam?
How about we tease a couple things that we're going to be talking about soon?
Okay, yeah. You want to tease a little baby?
Yeah, so speaking of running back talents, we're going to do a top 4 running back talents of the last, I don't know, 30 years.
We are?
We could. We should.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's do that. I like that. Yeah.
Yep. And then one more little tease to whet your appetite. We're going to talk about the top 4 Christmas movies of all time.
We are?
We could.
Yeah, I just feel like you're springing this all on me all of a sudden. I just feel like I have no preparation, and here I am, just sitting like a dummy. Just
we're
like
gonna do it. It's gonna be in the next couple weeks. So if you're subscribed, you will get that notification. Look forward to it because it's gonna be great.
Yeah, and if you're not subscribed, then go yourself because nobody likes you anyway.
Oh, one more little tease. I forgot to say something. So we have hit a major milestone with YouTube right now. So we did hit the 20 subscriber mark. So YouTube is going to be sending us our plaque. And probably by the next time we have a video, we're going to be unveiling that plaque once it arrives via first priority overnight mail. Probably be like in the next day or so.
Yeah, let's go. So it wasn't hard, but we put a lot of time into this. We want to thank all the 10s and 20s of fans that have subscribed over the past couple months that we've been doing this. If you haven't done it already, then take this moment to like and subscribe as well, or don't do it. We know who you are, TJ.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Yeah, we'll see y'all next time on the 4 Birdies podcast.